event is the second in a new series of roundtables that we're doing. We've done some of this earlier in the year, and this is kind of a second round of that type of activity around manufacturing specific topics. And what we're trying to do here is bring together leaders from different sales roles, service roles, from our partner ecosystem, and really talk about what's top of mind in manufacturing, as well as discuss best practices and lessons learned and just general advice across the manufacturing ohana. Today, we're going to talk about channel sales for manufacturing. It's a topic that we've been focused on at Salesforce for quite some time. Depending on how you look at the data, roughly 65 to 70% of the broad manufacturing sector's sales goes through channels, and obviously that varies, at a customer level too. But it's a very important part of the business, and probably when we talk digital transformation too, one of the more challenging areas for manufacturers to address. So I think it's a topic that's relevant to a lot of you, and we got some great trailblazers in the manufacturing ecosystem that are going to talk about that today. So I'd like to just quickly, the folks on the call, myself, Tony Kratovil, Chris Osment, who is the VP of Administration at Mitsubishi Electric, has been on a channel journey with Salesforce for, I think, Chris, going on about 6 years now. And then Eric Dukart as well, who leads the Salesforce strategy at Perficient. And Eric and I have worked together on this topic over the years on a number of occasions. Really brings an interesting lens across a wide customer base of companies selling complex equipment, complex assets through channels. So really thrilled to have both of you on the call. Before we jump into things, just a quick note to the participants. If there are questions, certainly submit them in the Q&A box, and then we'll see how much time we have, but we'll try to address questions towards the end of the session. And with that, why don't we get into it here? And maybe, Chris, I'll start with you. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself. I think, the role you play at Mitsubishi, and then I'd really like to get into both your products and your channel approach as well. I think it'd be great to maybe kick off the session that way.
Well, good morning, Tony and Eric and audience attendees. I'm the Vice President of Administration, but my role is I'm in charge of information technology and information management throughout our business. And that includes engagement with multiple tiers in our channels. Mitsubishi Electric, it's a long name, Mitsubishi Electric, Train, HVAC US. We market and sell heating and cooling products for Mitsubishi Electric Corporation in North America, Caribbean, and parts of Central and South America. And like many of you, we work in the channel distribution model where we transact with large, reputable distributors in various regions of the country and Caribbean, but we interact with all levels of the marketplace. So we have a lot going on here.
Yeah, no, that's great. Eric, if you could as well, could maybe give a quick overview of your role you play at Perficient. And I think some of the high level work you've done in this segment as well.
Great, thanks, Tony. Yes, Eric Dukart. I lead one of the leaders in our Salesforce practice within Perficient. We're a global consultancy working in the Salesforce ecosystem going on about 15 years now. And we've had the opportunity to partner with many manufacturers, both very large automotive manufacturers, small discrete manufacturers. And so I really hope, I want to do is just share some of the perspectives that we've had working with many different clients, and hopefully help you guys all as you guys go through this journey of digital transformation. Okay, great.
Well, Chris, I'll pivot back to you. And you make a very complex product. I think I'd argue your channels in the HVAC space are probably some of the more complex in the industry as well. But could you share a little bit about the product and both how you go to market and maybe a little bit of the personas involved and all the dynamics in your channel strategy?
So I could go on at length about the products, but I won't dive into air conditioning engineering technology today. To put it simply, Mitsubishi Electric and a few other competitors market and sell what's called the ductless or the variable refrigerant flow, VRF heating and cooling products. And architecturally, it's a different structure than what air conditioning products have been like in the United States for the past 100 years. In that go-to-market, these products have been in the US market for about 35 years, and Mitsubishi was the first to introduce it in the US. In that market, we're in a constant dynamic of developing some of the solid business base that we have built, but continuing to educate, market, build business, train, orient users at all levels, from homeowners all the way up to property management firms and large construction firms on how to utilize our products in their buildings. So it's, we say we're a manufacturer selling to distributors, but we're really educating, training, orienting, supporting all kinds of efforts at all levels.
Yeah, that's good. I think your business in particular, what's always surprised me about, or not surprised, I think what shocked me about the business is how complex the personas you deal with and the depth. And I think the definition of the customer itself is probably one of the more complex in the ecosystem. But with the strategy you've had in place, I know we've all been kind of dealing with a lot of the challenges in 2020. So how did you respond? I guess what changes did you see in your business, and then how were you able to respond, to what we saw with COVID and some of the demand and supply disruptions that were out there?
Tony, in part, we were prepared, and in part, we've had more demands placed on us. Like some of you out there who are in the manufacturing or multi-tier distribution markets, we place high value on relationships at all those levels. And over the past 6 years, while we've had Salesforce, and I'll rattle off our product list, we have Sales Cloud with CPQ. We use Marketing Cloud. We have a couple of add-ons that we've put in for lead management processing and supply chain inventory planning. And we also have several communities. Some of our public-facing websites and our member-only websites are built on communities. We've always placed high value on relationships. And in 2020, with so many of our market partners, both at the distributor, contractor, engineer, property manager level, all of them going remote, those relationships needed to be maintained, and they needed to have more data at their fingertips than they had before, because they didn't have direct access, face-to-face conversation with sales or some of our engineering teams. And therefore, some of the things which we had already built into communities, some of the things we built into CPQ for requesting special pricing or special project support, there was more demand for those things. And not more people, but just more functionality. People in our markets realized that they could get the information, they just wanted more of it than they were getting before. So we've been working overtime to add features to all our communities and our CPQ process and our engineering design tools.
Yeah, that's great. Chris, I've been kind of following your journey for the past, 5 years, that I think you had a nice foundation in place to really expand on it. But I think, Eric, maybe I'll pivot to you, across maybe the broader manufacturing customers that you're working with. I guess I think everyone kind of recognizes the challenges that have been in the channel, face of their organization for years. But what have you seen some of the reactions to, COVID and some of the demand visibility, that, the need to collaborate virtually? What have you seen across your customer base?
Yeah, I think to echo, I think what Chris is saying is, first, congratulations, Chris, for being 6 years ahead. I think there's many of the clients that we're working with and just the industry in general that are now trying to catch up. So, Tony, I would say what we're seeing in the last, 6 to 9 months has really been now the speed, how quickly manufacturers are trying to catch up. The ones that don't have that solid foundation, built to be able to innovate on. Some of the main business challenges that we're hearing from our client base is really centered around on the manufacturing side, better understanding of what their distribution channel has from what they have, in floor plan, or what they may have, forecasting for sales. I think what many of them have been relying more on email and spreadsheet, and they don't have that access to data. I think that, Chris is describing. And so they're really struggling now to be able to get information from their dealer distributors, because many of them are remote. And then vice versa, what we're also hearing in some of the workshops that we're doing with our clients is that distributors and dealers, those indirect sales channels, and we've been talking about this prior to 2020, that need for collaboration. And, Chris, I'd love to get your perspective on this. What customers, dealers, distributors are looking for is really that two-way communication. They want to be able to collaborate. I think those days of legacy portals of just, pushing out spec sheets or pushing out pricing sheets, that's gone. They're looking to be able to collaborate with product managers and engineers and sales folks, because the end consumer now is doing their research, and they are, so for us, it's been speed. They know now they have to change. And I think 2020 has really kind of elevated the changes, but industry challenges just know maybe a little bit faster than they were before.
Okay. I think we might be having a little trouble with your audio, Eric, on a few of that stuff, but I think I kind of got the gist of it there. I just back to you, Eric. I'm kind of curious, like if you have a customer that's maybe at the start of this journey or doesn't have the foundation that Chris has in place, how do you go about recommending, where do you start? Because I think that's what we see a lot is customers struggle with, okay, this is all great, this idea of broad collaboration with my channel partner community, but how do I prioritize and get started, right? I can't boil the ocean in 3 months around this topic.
But and apologize for the internet connection here. If you can hear me, just let me know.
Yep.
I think the two main areas that we're seeing right now is leads. So Chris, you had mentioned leads and CPQ. Many of it is how do they more efficiently get leads into their dealer distributors' hands. So we're getting them started there. And then I think on the flip side, the other area that we see a lot of our clients going to is more on the service knowledge, on the service side. So Service Cloud and helping them get knowledge going. Those are the two kind of starting points that we see many of our clients jumping to. Okay,
that's great. That's good feedback. And I think, Chris, I kind of following your journey again over the past few years, I think you had started with more of a kind of a lead quoting solution initially. But what are your thoughts on that as maybe a starting point? And then how did you see that evolve over the past couple of years?
So I'll try to be brief, but we've approached that challenge from two different directions. And to date, we've been successful in both. One is the lead management. In our environment, many HVAC contractors don't have the manpower, the bandwidth to deal with as many opportunities that come up. They're answering a phone and going on a homeowner sales call or a small business owner sales call. We built what we call our lead management engine. We take in leads from all levels, homeowners, small business owners, large property management firms, and based on the information they give us, we automatically route those leads to multiple teams in our channel partners, and they all know this. When they sign up for the program, they know that, for example, a residential contractor, he might get a lead, but 2 more contractors, 3 more contractors in his geography will get it. They know that, but they're getting the leads. They're already qualified. There's a phone number. There's a what they're interested in. It's all automated. They click to open and say, yes, I will follow up with this lead. That's when they get to see the phone number and the name of the contact. And then when they click to accept, we automatically send them a response link. 2 days later, 4 days later, it escalates 2 days at a time. to ask them, did you close the deal? What happened to the lead? And they all know this. So they all know we're working with them to bring leads to them and then to track closure so we can see how our marketing is doing, which benefits them. And we work with the distributor partners to nominate contractors to be in this program. So we're putting together a whole lead management program that involves all levels of the tiers, and they all know who's doing what to keep this going. We've built this over the past 3 years, and we're processing somewhere around 10,000 residential leads a month and about 400 to 500 what we call commercial, large property leads a month. So that's one avenue. On the special pricing side, our distributors and selected property owners have access directly to our CPQ. They can put in the profile of a large building project, put in some reasoning for the pricing that they want to get, submit that. It goes to their sales rep, our sales associate, who then escalates it to his regional manager, and they discuss the opportunity. We give feedback to the distributor or the architect about what pricing is in that market and what they should ask for, and approval or decline on their special price request. And this goes on before the deal is ever closed. This is what's called the bid process. This is our winning moment over the past 6 years. That used to be phone calls and emails and spreadsheets and missing information. And our sales guys used to have to keep up with all kinds of miscellaneous pieces of information, but now it's all online in one place. Everyone can see it online together on a phone call, and it's sped up the process. In 2014-15, the average number of large project deals that a salesperson could work on per week was 2. A year later, it went to 5. And in real numbers, our business went from 400 million to 550 million in 1 year, simply because we gave them time to work faster on deals. It's an amazing change. And that's how we operate today. With COVID-19, they're all operating that way. No one's doing office visits. They're doing all this work electronically.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, it's kind of a good balance of, I think you targeted some opportunities for automation, obviously tying channel partners, your internal organization, getting them on the same page. I think from a brand perspective too, it also really helps drive consistency among responses and that type of thing. But what I was thinking about as you were describing it, you've also kind of lowered the water in the stream so you can see where the rocks are too. So I'm sure you have a much better view of the health of your distributor ecosystem as well, right? Where you need to make improvements and address challenges. So great story. Eric,
I'd love, Chris, you had mentioned on the lead process, this is a question we get all the time. I'd love for you just to dig in a little bit more on that follow-up process that you have with your distributors. That's always a big question that we get is, how do we get that information back from the distributors? So you've got an escalation. Love to hear a little bit more about that.
So this is part business program, part technology. We have something called the Diamond Contractor Program or the Diamond Dealer Program. And to be a member, the distributor and contractor have to agree together. So we're getting everybody involved in this, and everyone's participating in making it work. For the contractor, there's a scorecard, and it's online. They can see their score. They have a training score. They have a certificate score because of the licensing they have to carry for HVAC installations. They have a seminar and program participation score, and they have a lead score. And the lead score is how many electronic leads were sent to a contractor business. How many did they accept or reject? And on the ones they accepted, how many of them did they respond with a confirmed sale or loss? And it's scored. And once every 90 days, a Meta sales associate, now it's virtual, will visit with them, and they'll go over their scores, and they'll talk about what's going on in your business. Can you take more leads? You're being very good. You're winning. Can you take more? Can we route more to you? Or you haven't been responding, you haven't been accepting, you haven't been closing. What's going on? So that's the business side of it. Electronically, we keep an internal score of all of the 3,600 contractors in our program, and we have a custom-built distribution engine such that when a lead comes in, it's evaluated by geography and given to the contractors based on when was the last lead they received, what's their closure rate, what's their likelihood, our calculated ratio of them closing another deal in this time period. And we choose the next 3 contractors in the queue, and it goes to them, and then it's on the scorecard. Sales team, contractor, distributor, they can all see the scorecard. They can all work on the ongoing flow together. And for us, it's been a big win, because what used to be a secretive process of how's my business doing, how's your business, now everyone's looking at it as massive business development. How do we all work together to get it to go bigger?
That's great. Chris, when you started that process, was there a view as to measuring dealer experience? Was that a metric you were trying to address? Or maybe a broader question, what is the feedback from your dealer network on this whole process?
It's the right question. We didn't measure it at the beginning. It was anecdotal. But now a portion of our sales team is somewhat committed to working with the contractor base and distributors on this workflow experience. And that took some orientation and education and selecting the right salespeople to talk about the business development process, not just closing the deal process. But now that we have those individuals in every region of the country who interact with distributors and contractors and discuss how this workflow helps them, how it enables them, how it solves their problem, that feedback comes to my team, and we make adjustments to our community, to our scorecard, to our lead workflow, and various pieces, so that as much as possible, it's minimal intrusion into their business. It's just feeding them information and getting information back as smoothly and easily as possible.
Yeah, that's good. That's great.
And believe me, it's not simple. It's hard work with such a diverse audience, but that's our goal, is to be easy to do business with and make it easy for them to do business with us.
Well, I think it's always a journey too. And I think, Eric, maybe I'll kind of pivot back to you a little bit. I think a lot of companies struggle with like justifying projects in the space and what's the value and all that stuff. And you and I have had conversations in the past about how you've had clients actually go out and kind of put themselves in the dealer distributor shoes and really kind of experience how disconnected the journey is, right? From, lead pass to product inquiry to quoting to all that, right? But what are you seeing in this space? And, how are companies thinking about dealer experience as a way to differentiate their business and actually deliver better value to the end customer?
I think Chris answered it for me. We've talked about, for years, Tony, I think you and I have talked about this. There's 3 elements to that dealer experience. One is collaboration. I touched on that. The need for two-way communication and collaboration, and really it's where we leverage, and it sounds like, Chris, you're doing the same. We leverage the community. It's a great platform to be able to facilitate two-way collaboration. Next is accessibility. It's now in the home, but for many years, it's been access to data and information on a device, because they're in the field. Whether you're sales, service, parts, you're in the field, out on your, out on your lot, wherever you may be. So collaboration, accessibility, and the last one is we call it personalized experience. So leveraging, whether you're a sales leader or a salesperson, service, you want the information that's most important to you. So the ability within Salesforce to be able to use that security model to be able to represent in the community the information that they care about. So service claims to the service manager, price information to a salesperson. So those are the 3 that we've been talking about for quite some time. Chris, I think you're echoing a lot of that in what you guys have already put in. But those are the 3 that we really work with our clients on around that dealer experience. And the story that I've shared is with one of our clients. As part of a workshop we did for them, we went and took screenshots of all the login screens that their dealer had, and we put it up in our conference room, and we said, this is your dealer experience. And that was kind of it for them to see what experience they were giving. And Chris, you nailed it. Dealers and distributors, they want it to be easy to work with their manufacturers, and I think that is a key part. There's lots of work happening right now in customer experience. How do manufacturers engage with that end consumer? But right beside that has to be your dealer experience, and orchestrate your customer and your dealer experience together.
Yeah, that's what keeps me up at night often, especially now. Another number, in February this year, we had 21,000 community members, people who had credentials in the contractor and distributor base. Those are individual human beings. And in the past 6 months, we've added 14,000 users, all from those companies, but they're all working remote now. So they want information. And what keeps me up or creates great challenges, before we had about 20,000 user experience anecdotes for requests. Now I've got 35,000 people saying, I want it to work this way. So it's important, but it's a huge challenge to lay that out so it can be smooth for everybody. That's our next great challenge.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I think, there's kind of cliche, everyone's saying it's the new normal, but I think in some respects, right, you're not going to turn that dial back on the level of interaction. In some ways, I think this kind of forced the issue, right? Let's kind of rip the Band-Aid off now. Now we are going to use this kind of technology and approach to business. But Chris, along with your journey and the foundation you've had in place, and I know you're also in the middle of trying to merge two businesses together and come up with a common approach. Do you see the technology and tools you have and processes in place as a way to streamline that process, or what are your views on that?
Yeah, the joint venture is what it's officially called. Mitsubishi Electric Corporate and Train Corporation got together and decided that our business, the existing business that I work in, would be a great joint venture. So structurally, Mitsubishi is still a manufacturer and a wholesaler, and Train is now our largest and our primary distributor. But Train also has a contracting and a service arm. So effectively, we're dealing with two tiers of our business all in one partner through Train. And opportunity is they're giving us much more insight, much more visibility to the workflows that will succeed in both of those levels. And the challenge is they want it now. So what we find is we're doing a tremendous amount of additional enhancement in our Service Cloud application to help the teams work together on day-to-day operational things. And we're doing much more work in our Marketing Cloud and our communities to add functions and collateral that our Train partner is saying they have to have, but what we're finding is it works in the entire marketplace. So, the pros are learning and the cons are so much more work to do.
Yeah, no, it sounds like there's an opportunity to take best practices across both organizations and then apply it in this tool to accelerate the adoption. That I think a lot of challenges, but I think you're in a good position where you're at. Eric, maybe I'll take that a step further here. And we've a lot of challenges this year. We've seen a lot of pressure and tension in the channel. I think some channel partners, there's there's the issues of access and getting more personas on board, like what Chris is describing. I think some channel partners are actually struggling from a business health perspective. But where do you kind of see this going over the next few years? Like what's the future of channel relationships? Maybe through the end of this year, but go 5 years out, right? Where do we kind of see this going?
Well, I think one of the things we've been working with our clients on is, and again, I think this was all starting support what end consumers want, which is a little bit more of that Amazon experience, but make it work within your bread and butter, within your distribution, your dealer channel. So that experience where you can allow consumers to buy direct, they can buy through distribution, giving them those options. And obviously now with, as we think about parts and parts supply affecting dealers and distribution of those parts supply affecting dealers, we're seeing that really elevate. So I think in the next, what we're seeing now is the tipping point over the next, 3 to 5 years, where many more manufacturers are going to look at that dual or that omni distribution channel, where they're going to allow consumers, Chris, in your point where you've got multi-tier distribution, that all need to get lined up and working right, so that consumers can buy the way they want to buy, but still have that local dealer distributor service that they're going to want. They're going to want them both. So we've been working on that now for a few years, and I think it's going to continue to escalate or evolve more now due to what's happening in 2020.
Yeah, maybe I'll kind of, I think there's always a kind of, I guess, a natural tension in the channel as well, right? Especially when we start talking about going direct, but I'll throw it out to both of you. How do you see companies, and Chris, maybe, specifically your business, but how do you navigate that, like balance the, kind of the desire, I think, to have tighter connection with the customer, but the recognition that, hey, I have to, we have to act as a partnership here as a team, right? And distributing capabilities, any recommendations, I guess, for the audience here?
In our business, the strategy has been to collaborate with distributors and to tell them, we're going to market, we're going to develop business at all levels, but we're going to do it with you. We're not going around you. Everything we're going to do, we do it with you. Anything we do that's information or electronically oriented, we start with you, but we go to the next level. So we work through and with our distributors in all levels of our market versus segmenting them and trying to separate how we work with those levels.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think it's, and the beauty of it too, I think you've put the tools in place where you have transparency, because I think a lot of the trust in these relationships comes with transparency, across information, data, lead sharing, all that stuff. So, Eric,
I'll add structural comments there. There's only 2 or 3 types of information that are secured to individual distributors, and that's their order status, credit memos, and a few other things. But knowledge base is wide open to everybody. Collateral, marketing community information, our territories, who covers whatever, it's open to everybody. So there's no hiding things, and it makes it easy to sit down with all levels and say, this is what's working and this is what's not, and this is who you and I and this third partner are going to work with.
So it's both transparency, and I think over time too, it helps, I think, distributors, dealers start to figure out, how do I want to differentiate my business too, or what segments do I want to take on and expertise I'm going to provide. So that's great. Eric, maybe more on like the heavy equipment side. I know like this, I think you also deal with a lot of dealer type networks that are semi-exclusive, exclusive, or this whole challenge between different tiers of dealers. How would you recommend companies that have that type of model address that analysis?
And I think a lot of the work that we do is with organizations that do have protected territories, and so the ability, both from a lead standpoint, making sure that leads are routed correctly to those dealers, and we have to be a little bit more with many of our clients a little bit more closed in terms of what information is shared from one dealer to the next. So what we're seeing now, though, and again, how do you allow those organizations to be able to sell direct and to an end consumer, is really in a fulfillment model where that consumer can buy direct online, but it's actually fulfilled and that dealer then gets to maintain the relationship. They keep all the parts and service business. And then it gets into nuances, Chris, to your point, it gets into nuances on pricing and how we control pricing information between what end consumers see versus what dealer pricing is. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to be able to do it. But again, the value of how we leverage the Salesforce platform is much of that can be done inside, Service Cloud, for example, and Sales Cloud, where somebody like Chris has the ability to be able to control that. And then once we share that information out through the secure community for each of those dealers, so there's visibility across the board within the manufacturer and the right visibility to those end dealers. So in those situations, for us, it comes down to a lot of the same things that Chris just said. We tend to have to be a little bit more secure with the information that is being handled between different dealers or distributors.
Yeah, that's good. I think, and a lot of great experience on the phone here. And I know these are complex projects and challenges for companies to address, but, Chris, kind of given, the role you played and the experience you've had over the past 5-6 years, for companies that are looking to start an initiative in the channel, improve transparency, lead pass, whatever you want to call it. I mean, how would you recommend they go about thinking about their project and getting started?
Based on our 6 years experience, and then for me, 30 years before that in other businesses, I would advise, whether you're a sales or operations leader or an IT leader on the call, I would work in your business and focus on a part of your business that is going to be stable and something you can build upon, so that you're working towards a target that is reliable. But when you go to implement lead management or special pricing, automated special pricing processing, or inventory management, when you go to implement that, interview everyone who's in the entire supply chain at every level, and don't just stop at asking what they need. Ask them what they're going to do with it, how they're going to work, what's going to make a difference in their day job. Because what we found out was just supplying information online or on a mobile device was only part of the picture. What we learned was you have to do it in a way that enables them to do their job better, faster, easier, and help them work with the next person in the supply chain better, faster, easier. So our goal was to take out waste, take out inefficiency, take out problems, not to change what their focus was. And that got us great traction from day one on everything we've worked on, such that now we have lots of enhancements requests. But those enhancements requests are based on the fact that it works. They want more of what we're doing.
Yeah, that is great. And maybe Eric, have you maybe close on the same question here? Right? I think, you've seen a bunch of these things. How would you suggest to customers to get started on a project like this?
Yeah, echo what Chris said. Start with the business process that you've got very solid relationships with your dealer distributors and build on it, or go find one today that's broken and go fix it. The biggest thing, Chris, I think you mentioned 6 years. You've been on this journey. You can see the value that Mitsubishi Electric's getting out of it. Ours would be start with a process that's solid with your dealer that you can build on, or one that's just completely broke that needs to be fixed. But start and start somewhere and get going. Mitsubishi Electric has 6 years running. What we're seeing with our clients is more that have not started something are falling farther and farther behind. And I think the rest of this year and into 2021, it's only gonna escalate more. Those that have not started this are gonna fall further and further behind, and dealers aren't gonna accept it anymore, and really end consumers aren't gonna accept it anymore. So mine would be find it and get started. What will happen then is all of the other parts of the organization will jump on, and you're going to get a big long list of enhancements. Once you get started, they'll come, but you got to get started somewhere. Don't do analysis paralysis and just try to figure everything out. Take a process and get going.
I think we see that a lot too, especially in the area of partner type solutions, because, you know, the reality is most of our companies are organized by functional silos. You got service, you got sales, you have, you know, the product engineering folks, right, that deal with channel. And, you know, a lot of those systems are also organized by those functional silos as well. So when you try to justify a project that kind of cuts across everything, sometimes it can be difficult to do or get buy-in and support. What we usually try to recommend to customers is, you know, get a vision in mind, get it socialized internally. I think work with your extended partners and dealers, distributors as well, right, to make sure they're part of the process. But don't let, you know, the perfect get in the way of getting stuff done. I think that's a vision that can evolve over time. I think more and more, you know, like you were saying, more and more departmental partners will come on board as they start to see success, and then you could tweak your vision. But you know, have a vision, but again, don't let that you know impair getting started on something. So I think with that, I mean, any other comments from the panel here before we leave? I don't see a lot of questions here, but
I just want to reinforce. I mean, not only because it's been 6 years for us, but I want to reinforce that it's a journey. And work with someone like Eric, someone with multiple experiences. Make your journey look like a roadmap. Don't just start with one step and then decide you'll take another step. Start on a roadmap and show your distributors, show your contractor partners what your roadmap looks like. They'll contribute to it. It's a journey, but start with a map that shows them you're going someplace with them, and that'll be a good starting point.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I mean, cast a wide net, right? And I think there's no one expert in this subject across your organization anywhere, right? You have to get the you know not just for ideas but also socialization. I think is super important. So all right, well, I know we're close to we're end of time here, so I do want to thank all the panelists for the great insight that they provided here. A couple things here. There are workshops just to make the broader audience here aware of. We have a workshop called Build an Indirect Sales Solution to Accelerate Channel Sales on September 24th, and you'll see the link there. As well as if you are interested in Salesforce in a broader PRM demo, there's some CAM materials on the website link that you'll see under Watch a Demo there. And with that, I want to thank again the panelists for supporting the discussion today, and thank all the participants on the call. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next roundtable. Thanks.